Kia ora tato, this is Appmachine, one of many different tools that lets you create mobile apps fairly easily. So why might you want to use a tool like this? Well, let me start by going to the progress outcomes for designing and developing digital outcomes. I've chosen progress outcome 4, although the same things really apply to most of the progress outcomes in this particular strand of the technology curriculum. So the focus here is about end users. And it's about making things that are fit for purpose. So you want a tool that isn't really about the technology so much, but allowing students to create an application where they design, develop, store and test their outcome. They identify social, ethical and end user considerations. They test, they apply tools, they apply techniques, procedures and protocols to make sure that it's a quality outcome. And the most important thing is to meet those end user requirements. So the idea here is that you can get a tool where you can get students to act as each other's end users, for example. So they might want to create mobile apps for, I don't know, the school, the class, clubs, societies, teams, whatever it might be. And of course, make sure that they're meeting the needs of their users and create a mobile app that has all of that necessary content in it. So a tool like Appmachine is good for that because it's easy to do and it's more about trying to meet the user requirements than worrying too much about the technology. So let me click sign in. I've signed in before, so it's taken me straight in. Of course, you need to log in using Google or something like that or make your own account. And then all you do is click create your next app. Now what you can do here is you can take data from an existing website, but that's not really very helpful if you want to create something from scratch. So what I'm going to do is click on start with a category. None of the above are particularly what I want for my own demo, so I'm just going to click none of the above, and then it goes through a bunch of different things, and eventually it will come up with some templates, and I'll be able to choose the template that I want from a bunch of options. So there's a whole bunch here. They can all be edited, so the pictures, the colors, the text, the options, they can all be changed. But the best thing is to try and pick a template that's as near to what you're kind of after as you can find, because that will just reduce the amount of effort required. Some of them are very simple, so you could kind of make almost anything out of simple ones like this. But I'm going to go down to one that's got something to do with education. There's one called high school, so I'm going to click that one. Of course it's not what I want, but it's in the right sort of space, so I might be able to do something with this particular one. So when it loads, it's got two interesting things really on the main page. On the right hand side you've got this sort of emulator of an iPhone, and that shows you what your app would look like and lets you interact with it. If you've got an Android, you could also preview it by, you can see it says preview your app. You can install this special Appmachine previewer if you've got an Android. Otherwise you need to use the iPhone emulator. Of course it could be deployed properly to phones, but that would require a paid license. Not really necessary if the main sort of activity you want students to do is to learn to gather user requirements, because they can see what it looks like in the app here. On the left hand side you've got this sort of Lego type thing, which has a set of blocks in it. Now the blocks that have been chosen will be ones that are based on the template that you chose. So these are the ones that I've got at the moment. You can add other blocks, so let me show you first of all how that works. So here's the red block, and there's 3 tabs on here: Basic, Plus and Pro. I would suggest in most cases the basic are the ones that would be useful for these types of classroom activities. The plus ones are very businessy on the whole, so they're very focused. There might be 1 or 2 that might be helpful, but as I say, they're quite specialized. And the pro ones really require integration with other platforms and frameworks, so probably not for most student projects. So let's stick with basic. I'm just going to show you how to add a block. So for example, if I was interested in adding Twitter, so let me click on the Twitter block. It will show me a little bit more information about the Twitter block. I can see quite a lot more information if I click on the web page. If I just stick to this here, I can add the block. And then you can configure it. So the main thing you need for a Twitter feed, of course, is the handle. So I'm going to put in the NZ MindLab handle. And there we go, we'll connect to that. And I'll keep the Twitter icon, although I could change it. I'll just maybe change the text a bit to TML Twitter. So that's added a new block, and you can see now it's changing the little screen and it shows me what the Twitter feed will look like, and there's some information there that I could edit if I wanted to. So that's how you add a block. How about blocks that you might not want? So for example, let me have a look at the news block. You might think news is quite useful perhaps, but you'll notice that it requires an RSS feed. We don't actually have an RSS feed at the Mind Lab, so that's one I might get rid of. Click the little bin and it's gone. So you can add and remove as many blocks as you like. Now what about the look and feel? Because you know, I'm kind of stuck with this template that isn't quite appropriate. Let me come back to the menu. So the menu is the first page that we see, and it's got this thing, High School Home of the Lions, on it. Probably not something that I want to keep. And I can kind of change some of the other configurations, so I'm just waiting for the emulator to update. Let me click back to the menu. There we go. So let me get rid of this. Now I can replace that with an image if I like, but I'm going to do something a little bit different. So I'm just going to remove that. Sorry. Save. Okay, now it's gone. What I'd like to do is also kind of get rid of this background, and I'm going to get rid of it with a background that's kind of got the logo in it. So instead of changing the top image, I'm actually going to sort of replace it with something that has the Mind Lab name. So I'm going to click on Design, and I'm going to replace this background image with something else. Upload, and I'm going to replace it with that one there. Just position that sort of in the middle. You have to kind of pick the right pictures for the right sort of shapes and sizes for Appmachine. Sometimes it's a bit fiddly finding the right things. Okay, so now I've replaced that. So if I click Save, just go back to the menu again. There we go, and now it's replaced that background picture. So you've seen that you can add blocks, and of course if you add and remove blocks it changes the set of icons that appear on the front page. We've looked a little bit at changing the design. Maybe look at just one more example of things that we might add. So one of the blocks that I've got that we might want to keep is Team. And once again you can see there's a design layer. So let me go up to the global design, and you can see that this is kind of going through all of the different things. So although I removed this on the main page, on the global design it's got all this kind of stuff that stays. So let me get rid of that and save that. Let me go back to Team. And now that picture has gone. So it's now gone from the global design. It won't appear in the background of any of my blocks. I just wanted to show you this one because it's an example of a kind of a list, and there are a few different blocks that let you add a list of things. So I'm just going to add a person, and the main thing here is of course you can add lots of different people. You can have a list of people here. I could, for example, in some of the other blocks I might have a list of courses. You know, there's various things where you can have lists of things in Appmachine. Let me upload my image, which is there. And a little bit of text in a moment when that's loaded. And save that. And there we go. So I've done a little bit of editing of the template. So if I just go over to the emulator and start interacting with it, let me go back to the main page. So I've got a few different menu options. I've got the team. I've got the Twitter. And of course I haven't actually edited the others yet, but I could either easily edit or replace the other blocks that I've got. So that's a very brief introduction to how Appmachine works. And of course there's lots of different options there for students to create things that are based on a particular requirement and to configure it in an appropriate way. But hopefully that's enough for you to get started, and so good luck using Appmachine.